L5 would get around 60, 70 to even 1.5 CR. They're not going to retract the offer just because you asked for some more money. DSA and all, I definitely believe DSA is my weak part. So
literally got C grade in the DBMS subject.
Yeah, it was definitely harder than what I had imagined.
What was your first reaction once you get interview call from Google?
Be very candid with my manager, just like they're my friends. As we all know, the food, the spa or massage at the office. Wow. Most of the time what I see is when I get nervous, I tend to mess it up in the interviews.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Learning Bridge. I hope you guys are doing good and staying safe. So finally, I'm back with another amazing podcast for all the aspiring data engineers, and this time again very well known for the Google. So as always, our guest speaker is highly talented data engineer working at Google, and his story is also very amazing, coming from the tier 3 background, working in service and consulting companies, and now he has nailed the interview of Google for the data engineer role. So today he will be sharing everything and will try to help you to prepare yourself for the data engineer role in companies like Google and any MAANG level company. He will share his experience from college to consulting company to Google, the whole interview process of Google for the data engineering role, and the salaries for different levels in the MAANG level companies, everything about the coding, DSA and other things which you need to prepare to crack the data engineering role in these big tech firms, and the most important, life of a data engineer at Google and its amazing perks. So now you know what you need to do in the next 30 minutes. Just stay there and watch this podcast till the very end, and if you like it, find it informative, then make sure to like it and share with the fellow data engineers. Alright, so thank you so much Jash for joining my podcast, and pretty much very excited to have a conversation with a fellow data engineer, and that too working in Google. But it would be really great if you can give a short introduction to the audience who is watching you for the very first time. Anything about your academic background and professional background.
Sure. So Shashank, it's great to be here. I have watched your YouTube videos and your LinkedIn. Your growth is tremendous. So I also have started my content creation journey. So I hope that I can follow some of your footsteps. As for my introduction, as you said, I'm a data engineer working at Google. Before Google, I was working at ZS, which is a management consulting firm. And there again, I was a data engineer. I have over 3 years of experience in the field of data engineering. Before that, I did my BTech in IT from 𝗪𝗏 University in Ahmedabad, which was also my hometown. It still is. And I was always interested in subjects like database and machine learning, deep learning from the college days. So I always thought that it would be great if I could work in data engineering or data science field. And I was super fortunate enough to get that right out of college. So and after that it has been a great learning curve, and here I am.
Awesome, truly amazing. And just one difference I have seen in your journey and my journey, just so in my college time, I was pretty scared about these subjects like DBMS, data mining. I literally got C grade in the DBMS subject, right? And now the irony is I'm working like continuously around these databases and data. So yeah, that's the journey.
So it's a lesson that your college marks and all, they don't really define you. Good.
Yes, exactly.
And even I've seen that a lot of my friends were also like, how can you like database, how can you like DBMS, it's so boring and all.
Like after your college, where and how did you start your journey as a data engineer? Were you motivated enough, or were you self-motivated enough to explore this domain, big data, data engineering, data science, right? After your college or in your college itself. So how did you do that exploration part?
Yeah, so I was, as I said, very fortunate to get into big data right out of college. I know that most of the big data job openings that you see usually requires 1 to 2 years of experience. There are a few companies that hire freshers. And so after college, actually during my 4th semester, I was doing a blockchain internship in Bosch, Bangalore. And I found out that the work was great, learned a lot. Team was great, but it was a bit too technical for me, where I was only doing coding. So I thought, I also need to polish my soft skills, and so I decided to join this other opportunity that I had. And because it being management consulting firm, I thought, I would definitely be able to improve that, my selling skills or soft skills, including creating PPTs and whatnot. So that was the main purpose of me joining ZS, that I did not want a role that is 100% technical. I also wanted something business oriented that drives business impact. So after joining ZS, when we are all hired as freshers, we have different pods and we get staffed, and it's sheer luck that you can get staffed in different types of projects. So you have, consumer centric pod, you have big data pod, you have machine learning pod. So for example, big data pod would work with clients specifically in big data. So I was just lucky enough to be staffed directly into the big data pod. And from there, I remember Googling what is Spark. So as I said, I was good at DBMS and primary keys, not in distributed computing. So yeah, that's where it all started.
All the aspiring data analysts who are coming from the non-tech, non-CS and these kind of backgrounds and actually want to work as a data analyst in top tech companies, and you are facing challenges to get a job, then Coding Invaders by Mentor Pro can actually help you. So they are actually running a 6 to 8 months long data analyst program, that too job guaranteed. And honestly speaking, this is the very authentic platform, because as you know, without any research, I don't recommend any platform or anything to the audience. And I had a conversation with their founders, so I got to know about their visions to help the data analysts to land into their dream jobs. And also few months back, some aspiring data analysts reached out to me to look for these kind of courses and program, and I recommended it to them, and now they are working in good product based companies. For my audience exclusively, I have provided one link in the description. You can use that one, and in the consultation you can use the coupon code Shashank30 and you will be getting 30% extra discount. So first thing is the job guarantee. You will be learning everything from the scratch, no prerequisite required, one-to-one mentorship. So this course is definitely for you if you do not have any coding background, you want to switch your career from sales, finance, marketing, teacher, or any kind of non-tech, non-CS profile. This program will be taught by the experts who are working in top tech companies. So these are the important things which will be covered in this data analyst program of 5-6 month long, 30 plus real world projects and real world business use cases, 1500 plus access assignments. If you are also coming from the non-tech, non-CS background and want to move into data analyst profile, so use this program, and don't forget to check out the link given in the description. And guys, in this program, this batch is special and limited as well. So starting first 150 candidates will get the entry in job guaranteed data analyst program. So hurry up and enroll right now. Yeah, I agree with your point. So there are definitely few big players in the big data ecosystem itself. ZS is one of them, Impetus is one of them. So like even as a fresher, you can get opportunities with these companies. So that's good point to mention, just. And you guys can also mention in the comment section, like if you are in the college, like somehow you got interested into big data, so how did it actually start? It started from the companies or from college itself. So because we both have different journey, even for the just these things started for you from first company itself, and for me as well, right? If till the college time I didn't explore anything outside the curriculum and all, same thing happened with me. From my first company, I got to know about the big data, and that's how things started for me. Google definitely is a dream company for many, and like any software engineer, data engineer, or CS background folk or non-CS background who know about the Google and its obsession, so we can definitely understand their emotion. Now you are working in Google as a data engineer. So how did you get this interview opportunity? Because we always think that getting calls from these companies is definitely a big deal, or it needs some mind-blowing skill set or something, right? Very magical to get interview calls. So how did you get it? And another part, what was your first reaction once you get interview call from Google? Were you excited or very nervous that what's going to happen next?
Yeah, great questions. So I don't really think that you have to have some magical skills to get interview call from Google. Just simply apply to the careers page and you'd be good. I know a lot of people believe that reference is the only way to go. Although in my case, both of these scenarios were not true. I was approached by one of the recruiters directly on LinkedIn, and this was for, I think in Poland, Google Poland, this was an offer. And after that, I found out that the role that they are offering is not really something that I want to go with. Then I was offered the same role in Pune. Then again, there my hesitation was there, and after next week, after 1 week, I got the data engineering role, which is exactly what I wanted. I looked at the job description and I was like, okay, this is exactly what I do. So yeah, it was great that I was able to get 3 different calls from 3 different people within 2 weeks. I don't know, it was really lucky, definitely, but at that time I was already on notice period, and after 3 years I finally had decided to try something new and switch. So I had kept my LinkedIn profile open for roles, not for everybody to see, but specifically for recruiters. So that may have done the magic for me, who knows. But yeah, that's how it started. And as soon as I got the call, I knew that I have a chance to do something here. But I was definitely excited, not nervous at all, and I think that really helped. Because most of the time what I see is when I get nervous, I tend to mess it up in the interviews. After that, some even the questions that we can easily solve, we sometimes mess it up. But for me, because this was just another opportunity or a backup at that time, so I just gave it very calmly, and I was really excited for the opportunity. I was like, okay, I'm getting to experience one of the FANG company interview process. So that in itself is a good new learning experience for me. That's how I went into the process. And luckily I got out the other end selected.
I think excitement and confidence is something which will play an important role. If let's say you even get a call from any big company, and that's very natural phenomena, right? It happened with me as well. When I got calls from Google, Amazon and these things, I thought it would be really tough to crack, but eventually it doesn't happen. So you have to be excited, you have to be really confident, and that is something which will play a very important role to crack the interviews. Next question is can you share the full interview experience or full interview process of Google specific to the data engineer role? Like how many rounds were there, and each round what all things interviewers were actually asking. I'm not asking for the exact interview question because that's not ethical, right? I'm just asking the topics or broader topics you can highlight round by round so that it will give a good idea to the audience.
The data engineer interview process it's pretty much similar to rest of the roles in terms of how many rounds are there. So I had 4 technical rounds and then 1 behavioral round, and after that the googliness round. The behavioral round itself was the googliness round, and after that we have hiring committee and team matching round in Google. So the overall process this way was very similar. In terms of technical rounds, in the first round I had a lot of questions that were a mix of DSA as well as cloud and big data. So these were theoretical questions, not really a lot of coding in the first round, but yeah, these questions did test my algorithm understanding and time complexity understanding, as well as different cloud platforms that I've worked on and big data platforms that I've worked on. Then the next round was about DSA as well as data modeling plus SQL. So the round kind of started with a data modeling question, very vague question. Data modeling questions, you would have to ask a lot of counter questions because the question itself is obviously not enough for you to create the data model. So that's how I went on about doing it. And after creating it, I was given a couple of SQL queries which were really complex, but I had to use my own data model that I had created. So it was a good experience in a way that if you mess up your data model itself, you are going to mess up your next SQL questions as well. It's not like they were separate. You might not find a key to join with if you have not created data model correctly. So something like that. And then I had a DSA question. I solved it using Python because that's the language that I prefer. And this was about second round. The third round was pure DSA, where they basically tested my problem solving skills by asking a couple of questions. Now the question I get here the most is DSA really important in data engineering role? I would definitely say yes. You cannot skip it unless you're going for there are different types of roles. For example, technical solutions specialist and those roles. where only your core big data skills or problem solving skills specifically in Spark or big data would be tested.
Yeah.
And DSA is really key when you're applying for data engineering type of roles. But it's not as hard as what they ask in the software engineering role. That I completely agree. So it's definitely good to brush up your skills in terms of basic data structures like linked lists, arrays, little bit of trees, stacks, queues, all that. Apart from that, the next round that I had, fourth round, was the system design round. Here is where I had to create an end-to-end system for creating a big data pipeline. And good thing was, even though I was applying for Google, they did not say that you only have to use GCP. So I used AWS in my interview, and sometimes Azure as well, because I had worked on AWS and Azure only. And the interviewer was okay with it. So it went well, but this was quite lengthy round, I would say 1.5 hours, because there were a lot of discussions that why did you choose this, not that. There was the behavioral round, as I said. This was also surprisingly pretty tough for me. It definitely got me sweating. I did not expect that. I was like, this is going to be a chill round, but the questions that they asked were so one after the other that I got what you're saying. Now what will you do about this? I got what it is. So I mean, obviously it is my personal interview experience. And maybe this was also to test me that how do I work in a time bound or pressure situations. But it was definitely harder than what I had imagined. And after that, there was the hiring committee where Google, some people from Google come in and they look at all of your feedback from different interviews and give you a hire or no hire result. After that, you would have your team matching. If your role is not specialized enough. In my case, I already knew what the team was, so this did not happen in my case. And and once you're done with all these things, you can expect your result like in a day or two itself. But to get the actual offer letter in hand, it can take anywhere between 1 to 3 weeks.
Comment section, what's your opinion? Like, do you think technical rounds are more challenging to crack, or behavioral or hiring manager? Because after spending 5 years in the industry, right, just my opinion has been changed. Like, behavioral and hiring manager is something which is challenging, because completely hypothetical. You cannot prepare for this from anywhere.
True. And they want a lot of details. Even if that's behavioral round, you cannot say things like, I will
just
do this.
One word
and,
or one sentence,
things.
like the in-depth justification. Correct.
And I had a problem where I started getting too technical and I was scolded that, you don't need to show off your technical skills. You're already here. So let's focus on behavioral skills.
So with respect to the cracking the interview part, right? How should we prepare ourselves for Google or Google-like companies, let's say Uber, Amazon, Microsoft, for the data engineer role? And if you can explain it with respect to the technical skills and some highlights on the resources which helped you in your journey, that would be pretty amazing.
Sure. So first thing I would do if I have very short notice to clear an interview is look at the interview bit articles. So for example, you can ask for SQL questions, Spark questions. So they have this set of top 50 questions that are being asked. It can be on data warehousing, SQL. So I would definitely do that first. So they can be of different topics. So for a data engineer, you need to clear topics like SQL, Spark, or distributed systems, and data warehousing, data lake. All these topics have 50 different questions. I refer to sites like InterviewBit for this, and I usually start with preparing about the things that I'm good at. And I usually try to finish it as soon as possible before the interview. And then I spend majority of the time in which I'm not so good at closer to the interview. So at the day of the interview, I remember the things which I'm not so good at because मैंने just like कल या परसों उसके बारे में पढ़ा था. So I use that tactic. It has been working for me, and I definitely think that getting into these kind of companies, it's not really about your it's not really about how good of an engineer you are. Obviously that helps, but you also have to be very good at interviewing, in the sense that you need to explain your approach. You need to, like, I have this motto called ABC, which is not always be coding before the interview, but always be chatting during the interview. So always keep telling what you are thinking and think out loud. And in terms of DSA and all, I definitely believe DSA is my weak part. So I prepare for that, but even for that I don't prepare for more than 2 hours a day. Even when the interview is like, let's say tomorrow, I don't prepare it for more than 2 hours a day, because for me it just creates a lot of pressure. And I need to be in a clear state of mind before the interview. And as an extra tip, I always listen to upbeat songs right before the interview, like 5 minutes before the call.
Just pump you up,
it
right?
Gets me pumping.
Motivation and confidence. Yes, great. I think this is something which I was specifically looking for, and the audience was looking for, that how Google data engineers and how Google engineers actually prepare. So I think you have answered it. And now I have next question, which is again pretty much exciting, and audience always look for these questions, like the monetary or CTC part. So can you talk about the salary or the CTC part in brief for the MAANG companies, and what should be our expectation for the data engineer role based on the experience level? So here we can talk about your experience level, let's say whatever is 2, 3, 4 years. So what could be our expectation and what these companies are actually providing?
So without really sharing my exact details, because I wouldn't be allowed to,
yes,
I would definitely try to give the best answer. So all these MAANG have different levels, right? So for example, Google has L3, L4, L5, things like that, and equivalent levels in Amazon are L5, L4, L5, L6. So you need to be aware of that first. And so for example, if I talk about Google, usually they would hire anyone from 0 to 5 years of experience in L3.
Okay.
And then L4 would fall into the category of 3 to 10 years sometimes as well. And L5 would fall into the category of let's say 5 years to 15 years as well.
Okay.
So in terms of what I have generally seen specifically in India, is that the range is something like that. L3 people would get 35 to 45 total compensation. L4 would get around 45 to 65, 70. Okay. And L5 would get around 70 70 to even 1.5 CR. And then there's no going back after that. You have L6, L7, L8. Yeah, there are not many people who clear from L5 to L6. But even in L5 the upper band is very high. So we don't really need to worry about that a lot. But if you reach to L6 level, then there is really no limit. And negotiations are key. Never think that just because it's Google, Amazon, you cannot negotiate. In fact, they expect you to negotiate. So just be okay with it. Just think what you're worth, and even if that is way higher than what you're being offered, it's okay. They will not. I know a lot of people have this misconception that if you put a number way too high, they're going to retract the offer. No, they're not. You have cleared a lot of rounds and you are one of the people that they have selected. They're not going to retract the offer just because you asked for some more money. Yeah, and definitely doing the research helps. You also need to keep talking with your recruiter that what is your level, or if you can get some idea beforehand, because even your interviews are assigned, panel is assigned according to what your level is, right?
Great explanation, and thanks for the details once again, Jash. And one like for sure for these amazing details which Jash has provided, and he is also creating good content on his channel. I will pin down the YouTube channel link, right, which he is running, and you can definitely go there, watch his videos, and he has just started, so definitely just support him, right? At least from the audience who is watching my videos, go and just subscribe to his channel and follow whatever he brings more for the data engineers. How's the life of a data engineer at Google, right? How the things actually starts for you? What are your day-to-day activities when you wake up, job activities, how things start and how things ends up in the evening? So what's the typical life of a Google data engineer?
Yeah, sure. So I'm located in Pune. They are going to open up office sometimes next month.
Wow.
So until then, we are working from home. We have a temporary office space that we can go to, which is in the same building as the actual office. But yeah, the most of the time I'm at home. I wake up and attend calls, then do some work, again have lunch, do some work, attend calls. Pretty much like how it is in most of the companies. But what I've seen is people are very collaborative, and the culture here is something that's completely different than what I have experience of. And people say that Google culture is really good and all. I got to experience it firsthand, and I would definitely say that they are talking the truth here. Also, I can be very candid with my manager, just like they are my friends. So that's also a good thing. And in my team, I'm one of the very young people in the team. So sometimes I feel like I'm way too young, but all of energy of all the rest of the people are very high. So I never got to feel that way. And in terms of work-life balance, it's also very good. At least until now, it has been very good. Not sure how it's going to go, but I have heard good things, so I'm positive.
And I have just one last question that would be pretty quick. What are the few best perks, right, being a Google engineer, right? And what's your experience have been so far in terms of the perks comparison?
So it has been great. There are countless perks, as we all know, the food, the spa or massage at the office. Wow. These are the things that people already know, and they are obviously very good. One thing that I love is that we have a 20% work culture here. So what that means is you can work 20% of your time on the project that you like. If you like Google Pay, if you like YouTube, you can work in that team. You can work for a different location team, and we have internal hirings for that. That's something that I completely love. And it's, for example, if you open a Google Drive from my Google account, then they have a banner called "We are hiring."
Wow.
So it's very easy to switch into different products, or even you can work with teams like enablement team who are onboarding Nooglers, or diversity and exclusivity team. So these opportunities are great, and that's, I think, what's the best benefit is.
These are the things, right, which always can increase your confidence in terms to target some of the best companies, the FANG companies. And based on my experience and based on just experience, I can guarantee that cracking these companies is not gonna tough at all. Like, I have been through with the processes. I have shared my interview experiences as well. So now you can even feel for the data engineers how smooth that process gonna be. Not very, very tough level of DSA, as even just also mentioned that what kind of questions he faced, but it is important. So be focused on those aspects. And thank you so much, Jash, for taking your time for this podcast and sharing your wonderful experience with the audience. And this is gonna be super helpful for them in terms of the preparation, in terms of the CTC understanding, the work-life balances, and every aspect of working at Google. So thank you so much again. And I have shared his YouTube channel link in the description. Again, go check it out, and his LinkedIn profile link will be also in the description. If you need any help from him, feel free to connect with him over the LinkedIn and ping him for any kind of suggestion.
Yeah, always happy to help, and it has been a great experience. Thanks a lot for inviting me.
Great. Thank you so much, Jash. It was really amazing and really nice talking to you. So that's what I had for you guys in this podcast. I'm pretty sure you would have enjoyed this whole session, the every single experience shared by Jash. And if you feel it, you find it informative, then don't forget to hit the like button and share this video with your fellow friends. And if you're new to the channel, then make sure to hit the subscribe button and press the notification icon. So I will see you guys in the next weekend with another amazing podcast. Till then, just take care and bye-bye.